Hi, I'm Testa. I'm a morning radio show host, I'm a writer and publisher, and a keynote speaker. I make my living with words, both written and spoken. And although I speak professionally on several subjects, including how to design your company's message and how to create extreme customer loyalty, over the last couple of years, my most requested presentation has been on the issue of burnout. Some experts refer to it as emotional fatigue. And although it can strike in any industry, it's particularly tough on people who work in what's known as the helping professions. Things like police, fire, first responders, teachers, HR professionals, doctors, and nurses. My daughter-in-law, Sabra, she's a nurse in the emergency room, so I hear her stories, and I know what her life is like. My son, Dominic, her husband, told me a great story that I have to share with you. Sabra had come home from one of those long, grueling 12-hour shifts in the ER. And, Dominic was in the kitchen making dinner or something. She plopped down, got a glass of wine, was flipping through a magazine they just received. And they were talking, and that's what you do. You talk about your day, right? So they're talking about their day, and Dominic says, so what happened today? Anything good? And she goes, oh, it's pretty standard. She goes, we had a guy come in who needed like a dozen stitches in his head. There's another guy who had a horrible incident with a circular saw, and they go, we were able to reattach the finger right about here. And then she rattled off like 4 or 5 other things that had happened that day. And then she said, oh, and an 85-year-old woman punched me in the face. And she took a sip of wine and turned the page of her magazine. Now, as my son said when he told me that story, he said, what kind of job must you have where getting punched in the face by an 85-year-old woman is like the 7th or 8th thing you bring up when you're talking about your day? But for a nurse in the emergency room, that's standard operating procedure, right? I mean, we're funny creatures, all of us, really, We get caught up in the things that bring us down, and we forget about the things that lift us up. It's human nature. It's human nature because when something positive happens in our life, we celebrate briefly. But for all of us, when something negative happens in our life, we carry that crap around for days or weeks or longer. When I spoke at that conference of nurses, I had asked them, I said, what do you most want me to address with your attendees? And they said, the biggest issue we have is burnout. Because they come in and they work their tails off for a few years, they get fried, and they leave. Not long after that, I was asked to speak to a group of HR professionals, human resources. And they said, is there any chance you can speak on the issue of burnout? Not long after that, I was speaking at a conference in Texas for librarians and teachers. And what do you think they most wanted to talk about? But in all the research that I'm doing on this, with burnout, nobody has the magic pill. Nobody has that one solution. However, there are some very worthwhile suggestions from the clinical experts, and I'll give you the 3 that they lean on the most. Number 1, if you're suffering from burnout, they say practice relaxation techniques, like meditation, right? Yoga, great idea. The second thing that they recommend, they say focus on life outside of work. Try to put more focus on your friends, your family, your interests, your hobbies. Great idea. The third suggestion that they have is they said, try to get more sleep. So I think those are good suggestions. But I come at it from a different perspective, and I want you to think about something else. I believe strongly that too many people are so wrapped up in the application of their job, the routine of getting things done, that they're not able to step back and see the larger picture and the results of that work. They move from one project to the next. They move from one client to the next, one patient to the next, one classroom to the next. And it's too easy to get caught up and not see what's coming out the other end. I am not trying to go all cheerleader on you, by the way. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm of that old school, that the only person who can motivate you is you, right? In fact, you want to know what motivation is? Motivation is usually what we look for in order to start something that we didn't really want to do in the first place. But now inspiration is something completely different. Inspiration comes from a different place. Inspiration is what moves us, often almost on a spiritual level. Spirit, inspiration. Even the word itself comes from Latin, which means to breathe, which we don't do enough, right? If I was a motivational speaker, this is where I'd have everybody in the room stand up and we would do breathing exercises together. Now, you have to breathe on your own time. But I know for a fact that we don't do that enough. We don't stop. We don't breathe. We don't take the time to evaluate the truth behind the noise. The stress and the frustration block us from realizing what's really happening, and from realizing what we're accomplishing, which I guarantee you is way more than you ever give yourself credit for. 1 out of 4 people in this room right now are feeling burned out. If you're one of those 4, stand up. Let's all get a good look at you right now. When you hire me to speak at your next conference or meeting, we'll have some laughs and we'll tell some stories, but the ultimate win is for your attendees to walk out of there with a positive takeaway, one that is actionable. I would love to visit with you about what you're looking for in a keynote presentation and how I can help you achieve your primary goal of your conference. Reach out to me at domtesta.com. That's domtesta.com. It'll be right there under the speaking tab. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to talking with you soon.